On a chilly October morning in Seattle, the rain fell gently across the city as people hurried to work with umbrellas in hand. Hidden between two busy streets was a small coffee shop called Maple and Bean, a quiet place where strangers often became regulars. Every morning at exactly 8 a.m., Daniel Cooper, a 30-year-old software developer, ordered the same drink, a large caramel latte, and sat by the window with his laptop. He rarely spoke to anyone. His co-workers called him successful, but deep inside, he felt like something important was missing. One rainy Monday, just as Daniel reached for his coffee, someone accidentally bumped into him. Hot coffee spilled across the table. "I'm so sorry," a young woman exclaimed, grabbing napkins as quickly as she could. Her name was Emily Harper, a 28-year-old travel writer who had recently moved to Seattle after spending years exploring the world. Daniel laughed. "I guess that's one way to introduce yourself." Emily smiled, and hopefully not the last. The coffee shop owner offered them 2 fresh drinks on the house. Instead of sitting alone, they shared the same table. What started as an awkward accident turned into a 2-hour conversation. They talked about favorite cities, childhood dreams, music, books, and the places that had changed their lives. Before leaving, Emily smiled. "Same coffee shop tomorrow?" Daniel nodded. "I wouldn't miss it." Soon, every morning became their tradition. Sometimes they worked quietly together. Sometimes they laughed over breakfast. Sometimes they simply watched the rain through the cafe window without saying a word. For the first time in years, Daniel looked forward to Mondays. As autumn turned into winter, their friendship slowly became something more. One snowy evening, Emily admitted a secret. "I've lived in 12 different cities." Daniel looked surprised. "Why?" She stared into her coffee. "I've spent my whole life searching for a place that feels like home." Daniel smiled softly. "Maybe home isn't a city. Maybe it's the person you're sitting across from." Emily couldn't stop smiling. Months later, Emily received an email from a famous magazine in London. They offered her the opportunity of a lifetime, a 2-year international assignment. It had always been her biggest dream, but accepting the job meant leaving Seattle and leaving Daniel. For days, they avoided talking about it. Finally, they met at Maple and Bean one last time before her flight. "I don't want you to give up your dream," Daniel said. Emily looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I'm afraid I'll lose you." Daniel reached across the table and held her hand. Real love doesn't disappear because of distance. It grows stronger when 2 people refuse to let go. Emily accepted the job. For 2 years, they lived on opposite sides of the world. Every Sunday, they video called from different time zones. Every morning, they drank coffee together. Daniel in Seattle, Emily in London. It became their favorite tradition. 2 years later, Emily returned home. Without telling Daniel, she walked into Maple and Bean at exactly 8 a.m. Daniel was sitting at the same window, the same table, the same caramel latte. He looked up. For a moment, he couldn't believe his eyes. Emily smiled. "I think you saved my seat." Daniel stood up, walked toward her, and hugged her tightly. "I've been waiting for this coffee date for 2 years. A few minutes later, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small ring box. Everyone in the cafe quietly watched. "Emily Harper, you traveled around the world searching for home. I've been waiting here, hoping home would come back to me. Will you marry me?" Emily wiped away happy tears. "Yes." The coffee shop erupted in applause. Even the barista smiled as soft jazz music played in the background. 1 year later, Daniel and Emily bought Maple and Bean from its retiring owner. The little coffee shop became famous across Seattle. Visitors came not only for the coffee, but for the love story that had begun with one spilled latte. Near the entrance, a wooden sign read, "Sometimes the best love stories begin with a simple cup of coffee." And every morning at exactly 8 a.m., Daniel and Emily still shared the same table by the window, proof that sometimes fate doesn't knock on the door, it simply sits down beside you.